from the time this leaves my mouth to the time we get this to California, turned around and onto the internet, is going to be about 40 minutes. So the only way I get scooped on this is if somebody hits me in 40 minutes. But the current plan right now, Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? For the interim championship.
Chael Sonnen has just announced that Tom Aspinall's next opponent will be former interim champion Ciryl Gane, rather than the highly anticipated John Bones Jones. In the past, Ciryl Gane wasn't bothered by the focus on John Jones and Tom Aspinall. He always insisted that there was no ego at play and viewed his potential fight against Aspinall as the division's top fight outside of an overly hyped up Jones matchup.
Ciryl, do you feel like because everyone in your division seems to be just talking about John and Tom, that you were being unfairly forgotten as one of the best in the world at your weight?
Yeah, that's okay. I'm okay with this situation. You see, like, for the moment, I'm just focused on Volkov. And after, yeah, we're going to talk maybe if I win this Saturday, me, Tom, what's going to happen. But for the moment, I got no ego. I don't...
I understand you don't want to talk about it. Do you believe that maybe outside of John Jones, you versus Tom is probably the biggest fight in this division?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Yeah, probably.
Moving on, Ciryl even believes Tom Aspinall could beat John Jones, arguing Aspinall is the only one capable of toppling Jones. Gane points to Aspinall's blend of speed, power, and wrestling as the perfect counter.
It's capable of changing, yeah. He can do everything he wants. So even if you have a guy really good on his striking, on the wrestling, he can manage this. So maybe I'm gonna say Tom because he's more well-rounded. But when you have a guy like Alex Pereira, he's so dangerous on his striking. So everything is possible. That's too hard to have the good answer.
Come on, any tips? Any tips? Give me some body sparring. Get some body sparring.
Yeah.
Give me some advice, man. Give me some advice.
Any tips?
Go to the wall. That's the wall. Go to the wall. Stay here. Not too much. I think she'll stay here. Go to the wall.
Similarly, Tom Aspinall acknowledges the caution around Ciryl Gane, but insists he matches Gane's speed, if not surpasses it, and brings superior grappling to the table. He emphasizes his undeniable knockout power and warns that it only takes one shot from him to end the fight, no matter the adversary.
I better be careful, apparently. Yeah. I think I match up pretty well against him. I think I'm equally as fast as him. I move equally as well. The difference is I can grapple. I've got a lot of power. And I think that's pretty undeniable at this stage of my career. I've got a lot of knockouts on my record, mate. I have to touch you once, and I wasn't even throwing heavy tonight. I thought it was going to be a 5-rounder. I didn't mean to knock him out. I was pretty sure that was going to be a 5-round fight tonight, and just takes one shot, mate, at heavyweight, especially with me throwing him.
That's interesting. After I just called him out, went to France, and he turned the fight down.
Any interest?
I think he should fight Almeida. I think them guys should fight each other first and see what happens there.
Tough question. Anytime in Gane fighting, it's going to be touch and go if he knocks him out or not, but Gane is much more skillful, so I would say Gane's going to take.
Echoing that sentiment, Ciryl Gane praises Tom Aspinall as a consistently tough opponent, noting that Aspinall has proven his threat level time and again. He highlights Aspinall's performance on the Contender Series as clear evidence of his skill and durability. Gane warns that Aspinall remains dangerous in every phase of the fight, unlike other fighters in the division.
No, I was already, at the first time, he was already a really great opponent, and it was already a big test for me. And today is still a big test, because he proved it another time. He's on a really good race. I don't remember exactly, maybe four victories or something like that. And so he's still really dangerous and improved on the last fight against Pavlovich. Every people talking about Pavlovich like he's the next one, and he won. So this means something.
What's more, Cyril Gane says he's been eyeing a fight with Tom Aspinall because he's determined to prove he's the best and cement his place atop the heavyweight division. He sees Aspinall as the perfect measuring stick for his own skills, believing that defeating a powerhouse like him would validate his status as the division's elite.
Oh yes, of course, because he's just behind me.
Yeah.
So yeah, every time I'm looking for the guy behind me because I want to be the best.
Digging deeper, Cyril revealed that he aimed for a showdown with Tom Aspinall in 2024, but Aspinall pursued other opportunities. Now that the fight is finally on the table, Gane says he'd be thrilled to make it happen and settle the score.
Yeah, completely possible. Completely possible. Unfortunately, we're looking for this fight during this year. But it was not possible because Tom looking for the best for him and he's looking for above him. That's completely normal. And but yeah, if this happening, yeah, we will be really happy with the team. But it was not possible because he said I refused him in September. But the UFC didn't propose me any contract with him. And like I say, I'm looking for the best for me, and every time he's in front of me. And this is exactly what he do now. Just looking for front of him. So, but I didn't ask him like on the social media. But the UFC knew this is the fight. What we're looking for.
Meanwhile, looking at what the opposition thinks about this new challenger, Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou stated that they respect Cyril Gane and study his style closely. Jones pointed out that Gane has clear patterns and tendencies in his approach, relying more on jiu-jitsu than wrestling, though he does have solid takedowns.
I respect Cyril Gane, I really do. I study film constantly. And I just see a lot of patterns. When he's in one stance, he goes to the same well a lot. When he's in the opposite stand, he has his tendencies. He doesn't really have much wrestling. He relies on jiu-jitsu instead of solid takedown defense. Same with the ground game. I watched Francis Ngannou be able to rack up, I think, maybe 5-6 minutes of top time. I don't think defensively he's a very strong kickboxer. He has a really nice offense. His defense is mainly in his footwork. Two other big holes are jiu-jitsu and wrestling.
I knew that if I could out wrestle Cyril, John would be another story. He will have a hot night if John could have laid a...
Interestingly, Chael Sonnen had been adamant that Tom Aspinall's next bout was already set and Jones would be his opponent. He reiterated his confidence in that matchup and insisted that Aspinall's path forward was already mapped out, but he was not entirely certain.
One thing I do know I told you, word for word for word for word. I told you Tom Aspinall's next fight is done. But I don't know that it will be against Jon Jones. I then told you if Jon Jones fights again, Jon Jones' next fight will be against Tom Aspinall. I told you that. And before you thought this was like a game like, well, if Conor comes back, he's going to fight my sister. Because you know Conor's not coming back. Like, no, I went further to tell you I fully believe that Jon Jones will fight again.
Following that, Chael had exclusively reported that the current plan called for Tom Aspinall to face Cyril Gane next for the interim heavyweight championship, asserting that this matchup had become UFC's primary focus.
From the time this leaves my mouth to the time we get this to California, turned around and onto the internet, is going to be about 40 minutes. So the only way I get scooped on this is if somebody hits me in 40 minutes, but the current plan right now, Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? For the interim championship.
According to Chael P. Sonnen, the bad guy, the gangster from Westland, Oregon, okay? He says that he's got it on good authority that Tom Aspinall is fighting Cyril Gane next.
However, Aspinall teased that major news is on the horizon and urged fans to stay tuned. With heavyweight matchmaking in flux and the Jon Jones situation still uncertain, speculation is bound to run wild. One thing is certain, that something big is brewing in the division which Chael thinks is Gane.
We talked everything through. You know, Hunter has always been extremely personable and reasonable with me. I can't say what he's like with other people, I don't know, but with me and my team, he's been nothing but hospitable and fantastic. And we had a fantastic meeting. Everything went amazing. I understand my position now. I understand what the company's doing now. And
you got to stay tuned, my friend, because there's some big news coming.
On that note, Chael states that he fully supports it. He believes MMA's rules are only as strong as the commitment fighters and promoters make to them. Sonnen is all for any fight that ends with a world championship, interim or not.
I will back the moves with full integrity in place because our overarching theme, right, our constitution itself within the sport of MMA is we fiercely adhere to the rules that we make up as we go. So I'm on board. And I like anything that ends in world championship. I want it to be anything that ends in world championships. I don't care if you put WEC in front of it, UFC in front of it, Pride in front of it, lightweight in front of it, heavyweight in front of it, interim in front of it. I didn't care. Don't now. If it ends in world champion.
Moving on, amidst these new fight discussions and in terms of logistics, Ciryl Gane said he'd like the fight to take place in his hometown in France. He praised England and its fans, but prefers to compete on home soil, surrounded by his own people.
For the fun, I'm going to say in France. But I know the fans from England are really wonderful also. So yeah, but I prefer, of course, in front of my people.
Of course. On the flip side, Michael Bisping acknowledged his respect for Chael Sonnen, but pointed out that Sonnen often makes exaggerated statements. While he likes Sonnen, Bisping didn't hesitate to call out some of his more outlandish takes.
Now, I want to preface this that maybe Chael's talking out of his ass, okay? Chael's awesome. Chael's great. But sometimes Chael'll just be talking shit, okay?
Do you really believe that Minotauro thought that a bus was a horse?
That happened. Now that happened. He stuck that carrot in the grill, and his brother was, whoa, big fella. Like,
so I don't know. Is he onto something here? Does he have inside information? Is he spilling the beans on something that's actually going to go down? Or is he talking out of his ass? We don't know.
Looking ahead, Bisping believes that if Ciryl Gane faces Tom Aspinall for the interim title, it would be a crazy situation. With International Fight Week approaching, he emphasized the need for a huge main event, but argued that nothing would top a showdown between Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones.
But let's just take it on face value for a second. If Ciryl Gane is gonna fight for the interim strap against Tom Aspinall, this is a crazy situation. Now, International Fight Week is just around the corner, and we need a big main event. And there's a lot of big fights getting discussed at the moment, by the way, but none would be bigger than Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones. That's the biggest fight that the UFC can put on. It's one of the biggest fights in all of combat sports. It'll be one of the biggest fights the UFC has ever put on, okay? Tom wants to fight. The UFC want the fight, but it hasn't materialized yet.
Moreover, Bisping stated that if Tom Aspinall defends the interim title twice and Jon Jones still refuses to fight him, it will tarnish Jones's legacy. He acknowledged that Jones is one of the greatest of all time, but believes avoiding a fight with Aspinall would hurt his standing in the sport.
If they have to bring in another guy for Tom to defend the interim strap 2 times against Curtis Blades and then Ciryl Gane, because Jon Jones doesn't want to fight him, then I'm sorry, this is really going to tarnish his legacy. Jon Jones is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the greatest of all time. But if Jon Jones doesn't want to fight him, and they've got to bring in Ciryl Gane, then they've got to talk about stripping this guy. That's just a fact. That's not breaking news.
On the other hand, Tom Aspinall has grown weary of the ongoing Jon Jones speculation. The British powerhouse says he's over the chatter and is simply awaiting UFC approval. He's ready to step in the cage whenever they give the go-ahead.
Jon Jones, you don't know where you stand. Dana said it's the biggest fight in UFC history now, so...
Yeah, I've had enough talking about it, mate. I'm honestly bored of it. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll just see. I'm ready to fight whenever they tell me, so just let me know. I'll be there.
Everyone thinks you're a bit of like a quintessential good guy. Could we see a heel turn at some point in the MMA world?
We might do. Who knows? Who knows?
However, Joe Rogan predicts Jones will make a comeback for one last showdown with Aspinall as his final bid for glory, while Ilya Topuria contends that Jones has already accomplished everything he set out to achieve.
Jon Jones, one of the greatest of all time. I mean, just...
And Jon, what do you think about he's going to come back, he's going to fight Tom?
Yes, I think he'll fight Tom. No. I think he'll hang out. You don't think so? No? Really?
I don't think so.
How come?
For what?
For glory.
He already has the glory.
Yeah, one more glory before the lights fade.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think John's a conqueror. I
I
think
think he is.
I think he can't sit back.
He's the best of all time. No one
Yeah.
can say the opposite of that. He's the best.
Building on that, John Jones clarified that he isn't chasing hype or flash fights just for entertainment. Instead, he's focused on cementing his legacy by only taking on proven legends of the sport.
You know, Aspinall to me is no difference than an Owen St. Prude or Dominic Reyes or Anthony Smith. You're like just another up and comer that's exciting right now. And I'm not into gambling my legacy for what's exciting. I want.
On the other, Robert Whittaker doubts John Jones's sincerity about facing Tom Aspinall, viewing it as a stalling tactic. He suspects Jones will tease the matchup, drag negotiations out for months, then ultimately call it off and retire.
It's hard, dude. I can, at this point right now, I can kind of see John Jones just trolling the hell out of like Tom Aspinall, dude. Like I can see him like signing it, doing 5 months, and then just retiring. I think he's trolling him at this point. It's rough. Aspinall's just wasting away. A lot of Jones fans have just jumped ship.
But maybe he's looking to properly like bulk up in the right places.
Maybe.
Well,
Or he's trolling. I'm just happy it's not my division, dude.
However, Dana White had insisted that John Jones was fully committed behind the scenes. He noted that fighters often publicly hedge their bets while quietly locking things down, but this was not the case with Jones. White remained confident Jones would ultimately sign on, setting the stage for one of MMA's most significant matchups.
Since this is the last time we'll speak to you probably for the remaining of the year, Jones versus Aspinall, is that sort of the big priority, and you think that's the biggest fight the promotion can put on in 2025?
100%. And I think it's probably the biggest fight in heavyweight history, and it's a massive fight in the history of the company too. It's a big fight.
All in all, as rumors swirl around the potential matchup between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane, the situation remains uncertain. While both fighters have expressed interest, nothing is officially confirmed yet. The MMA world is on edge, waiting for official word on whether this showdown will materialize. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more updates, and ring the bell so you never miss any breaking news on this potential heavyweight clash. Let us know in the comments, do you think Aspinall versus Gane will happen?